Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Keelan Burke. I work with the Retail Excellence team here, and I'm delighted you could join us for today's webinar on attracting the shopper in a post-pandemic world. We've two great speakers today, which is going to be very exciting. Firstly, we've Niamh Higgins, MD of Tap Creations, and we've also Sharon Urell-Lawler, who's the MD of TPD Consulting. So firstly, I'd like to bring on Niamh, and she's going to just briefly talk us through some of their new retail concepts that they've brought to market here in Ireland, which will actually tie in very nicely with Sharon. Good afternoon, Niamh. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Keelan. Hello, everybody, and thank you, Keelan and Retail Excellence, for inviting me to take part and share the platform with this super Sharon Urell this afternoon. So in the time that I have, I plan to talk to you about Tap Creations, share some examples of work that you touched on, and if time permits, to share some inspirations from around the globe that are helping shape the reimagined retail experience.
Sure.
So I'm just going to share screen, if that's okay.
You work away there, Niamh, and I'll...
So all good?
That's perfect, Niamh.
Okay, great, thank you. So who are Tap Creations? We're an award-winning brand innovation agency, and we combine strategy with creativity to craft meaningful design experience that connect with today's consumers. So Sharon's going to share a lot of insights with you today that kind of tells you about the why, and we're very much in the place that kind of helps you act on the why and deliver and design solutions that will achieve that. We were born in 2015 with a strong focus on retail design, and over the last number of years we've evolved to design innovative solutions for healthcare, for hospitality and workplaces, working with many of Ireland's leading brands. And so we sit at the intersection of brand, environments and experience, and we're all about crafting purposeful connections. And as we all know, retail is going through a fundamental change presently. Brands and retailers are being challenged to think differently, to be able to evolve, and in many ways they have to compete radically if they want to stay in the game. So the need for transformation and connecting purposefully with today's consumer has never been so critical. And at Tap, we're taking those challenges head on, and by getting to the heart of a brand's purpose. And that by doing so, that is at the catalyst of our creative momentum. So starting with strategy through to innovative retail design experiences and delivery. So who are we then in terms of a team? We're a passionate, young, all by myself, team that are energetic and really truly passionate about innovative design solutions with a lens on the future, a lens on sustainability and purpose. So our expertise spans all of what I'm sharing with you here on the screen. So from insights and strategy to identity, through storytelling, environment and experience, and digital capability. And we recognize that in today's omnichannel world, where the digital-led consumer journey that Sharon's going to speak about is omnipresence in itself, that online just doesn't fulfill the human need for experience and connection that kind of the physical form of retail does. So we firmly believe in designing environments, be it large or small, that are authentic to your brand and that engage and encourage dwell times in meaningful ways. So today's consumer, the emerging consumer, is marred by the pandemic burnout that we're all feeling. They're actively searching for emotional connection, for balance, for familiarity and deeper meaning in their lives. And this is where there is opportunity for retailers and brands to step in or step up, as consumers now are not just buying based on price and product selection. They are recognizing the places where they spend their money are an extension of their personal impact in the world. And not just that, they are ready to pay a premium for products that reflect these values. We are discovering that purposeful brands and experience in the work that we do have staying power. They stick in consumers' mind more than brands that in other ways that brands who just don't. And even if that purpose is simply to spark joy. And this leads me to take you on to a number of projects, a selection of projects that we have chosen from the many that we have worked on over the last year. And first up is Chadwicks, a super client we're working with. We're working really collaboratively with on a number of projects that are helping them to reinvigorate their store experience. So kind of the Chadwicks branch evolution 2.0, as it were. This particular one focuses on a store within a store concept for their fixing centre brand within their branch in Galway. And it was a first for Chadwicks. It was recently delivered, in that the fixing centre is known as a standalone store within Thomas Street, Dublin, and has a rich heritage around that. And Chadwicks were seeking to bring this proposition outside of Dublin, and they needed a smart solution that would speak to the product, but also the trade consumer, who is their core consumer target, and also to give consideration to the DIY enthusiast. Sustainability is also a strategic focus for Chadwicks, and what we did in this kind of solution is to utilise materials that they would have in stock or have ready access to through their supply chain. And this resulted, so you can see there from the examples I'm showing you, there's a mix of OSB boards, so playing to the sustainable credentials. There's scaffolding, and there's couplings, and there's mesh, all of which are materials that are synonymous with Chadwicks. And in doing so, we delivered a smart design solution that blends seamlessly within the overall environment. And that was also a key goal from the brief, is that it wasn't just another brand in a house of brands, that it blended in with the environment and with the work that they had already done when they started their store invigoration project a number of years back. It is bespoke, it is stylish, and yet it is raw, but most importantly, it connects to the DNA of the brand and to their trade roots. Next up for us is a showcase of work that we have done with Musgrave. We have a long-standing design partnership with Musgrave. It started actually going back as far as an inception, and it has been a fantastic journey getting to work with them. We work very closely with their store development team and over the last couple of years, their future brands team. This particular project is showcasing Super Value Calester, which was a key flagship one for them, and that has played notes to the evolution of kind of the grocery retail experience in store. We're currently working with them on a fantastic project that is even taking that further and reinvigorating their brand and retail experience in store. Some of you in the room, I'm sure are familiar and working with it. You will see notes of that in Super Value Kilmainham. And what we have also done in Kilmainham is another facet to our retail design proposition and service we have is curated kind of theatre displays, which also kind of connect and help drive engagement and dwell time. And in particular, there was one particular zone in Super Value Kilmainham that the store development team and the store itself required kind of solutions to help encourage customers to spend more dwell time in that space. And our curated display team just does that. So moving on to another showcase from our work with Musgrave, and this is to do with Happy Pear, of which we do brand development work around that. So as we all know that the post-pandemic consumer is seeking retail experiential moments with more meaningful connections that are in tune with their lifestyle. And this Happy Pear store within store concept in Blackrock just simply does that. It evolves the brand experience beyond the shelf and fridge units, and to really become the home of plant-based food. Materials and fixtures in this instance were sustainably considered, and the messaging is vibrant and reminiscent or reflects the energetic and dynamic personality of the Happy Pear duo. So it heroes quality projects from their own range, but alongside other brands as part of a category growth exercise. And the concept is flexible and modular. A lot of what we do, and the same goes for the piece for Chadwicks, is that it will be rolled out in different store formats and footprints and sizes. So what we design has to be able to be scaled up and scaled down. So many of our solutions can work in much smaller retail formats. So moving on then from a large-scale grocery player to an independent business in the local community of Dublin 22. So this really epitomises kind of all that we do as a design agency in the retail space. It's brand development, it's environment design, and it's developing an experience. So this really was a rewarding project, And it was very much about kind of bringing the vision and the dream and all that Angela, our client, had in her head and just wasn't able to articulate, wasn't able to bring it to life. So we worked very, very closely with her and very, very patiently with her to just draw that out of what was in her head, to get it into a design concept, to go through working with suppliers then to see, you know, how do we bring that to life for her. And it really is a manifestation of how a physical environment can connect and create human connections. And it has become kind of a community experience as well. So a beacon for community within the Clondalkin area. So this is the last of our projects I'm going to share with you today, and whilst not core retail and plays notes to hospitality and the recreational area, the reason why I chose it is that, again, it shows kind of a wealth of our capability. So many of you might be familiar with the fantastic, iconic new facility that was architecturally designed for the Curragh a number of years back, and it's an exquisite building. But there was challenges with it in that it lacked warmth, it lacked personality. There was customer flow issues, and it really needed another layer of brand experience and another layer of a lens that doesn't necessarily come with an architecturally led design project, and that's what TAP do really well. So we have worked over a number of months very closely with the Curragh to, you know, through workshops, through spending time in the space to get to understand those challenges, to then create very distinct zones with premium branding, with bespoke solutions, and really kind of the fabric of storytelling. We worked with a historian to bring out their deep heritage, and one of the aspects that just as recently launched, yet to be seen by the public eye, is the bespoke piece to the bottom left there that is sponsored by the Tote. And this is a design concept to help with flow within the area, but also to make the area much more purposeful. And how it links back to the DNA of the Curragh is it's designed in the shape of a horseshoe, and with different materials and everything that speaks to the architecturally designed environment. So moving on, then I'm going to show some other meaningful retail experiences that we like and that are coming up in our research and insights and trends as inspiration that are informing some of the design projects that we will be working on. So first off, and I'm sure many of you had seen the great buzz around 3 in Ireland launching their new store formats, very much built upon the lifestyle experience, and different projects that support that around technology. So this is an iteration from T-Mobile, and it is also kind of playing into the lifestyle space and the technology savvy and digital savvy consumer. And you will see notes to kind of Apple-esque like style tables, but also more kind of what we're calling a res-immersial feel, in that it's bringing in a living room vibe and feel and beautiful woods into the retail design. But the standout piece is probably the digital experience design aspect of it, where they're bringing an immersive and really, really inspiring experience in store that customers can engage with. And this is how showcasing how a physical environment can play a key role within the digitally led consumer journey. Okay, next up, building on that point, is immersive retailtainment experience. Is some of you which have come across maybe Lego and more recently camp stores, and something like this would be ideal for a brand like Smith's Toys or any of those department stores that feature kind of retail. So what they have done here is really integrated digital within the in-store experience, and to make it a fun, immersive, dwell-time experience that appeals to both adult and children's alike. Again, this is done in a large format, but think of your store where a space could be given over to a small area that brings something more. It's very educational, it's inspiring, it's engaging, and it's creating impact. Shopping centres, even for that matter, where there's lots of redundant spaces, how could you bring those to life in a more meaningful ways that connect with shoppers? That, yes, it's about selling product, but it's also about connecting with them in other ways. In this section here, it's showing a selection of brands that are synonymous with living their principles authentically and how they are expressing that through the physical form. So we have a mix from Axel Arigato, which is a digital native brand that have built a social tribe digitally across social platforms, and how they are using their physical environments as a social connector, a more of a curated museum-like experience. So yes, very premium, very beautiful, but it's giving you a reason to go to the store. And if you take that down, again, it could be a section of a store store, taking the principles of it. It's beautiful art installations, you know, graphics that speak to you, and different ways of showcasing projects. But they also use the stores to kind of hold kind of dare I say, exclusive or ticketed invite-only music events. So the store is really about that social hub and giving reasons for their digital community to stay brand loyal. We also have Neighbourhood Goods and Fashion File, which is just a take on an upcycle brand, a brand focused on sustainability and recycling. So recycling high-end fashion brands, and how this has been incorporated into another store and giving over space. And the Neighbourhood Goods stores is focused, it's a bit of a pop-up kind of style experience, and they change out different brand experiences over time. And this is kind of just showing one of the trends that we're seeing in retail, which is surprising and purposeful brand partnerships. We've seen Scrumdiddly's and Primark recently, and we're seeing Ultra Beauty coming into store within store concepts within Walmart. So beauty and makeup brands are not unusual in a supermarket environment, but making it an absolute destination, must spend time in zone is new. Cause, in the essence of all about sustainability and how their pop-up is all focused on expressing their sustainable principles in physical form, using materials that are made out of recycled clothing fabrics. And the last but not least, we have Aldi in Sydney, which really is a fantastic store to look at, and how they have authentically kind of linked the store back to the local community, engaging local community artists to design and create a beautiful environment space, but also incorporating quite seamlessly their for good messaging within the environment. Last but not least, we're just going to touch on kind of fusing impermanence and sustainability. So this is a concept in the States that is founded on the pop-up principles, but rather than having a pop-up that changes out, new fixturization, new branding each of the time, they've identified a building that allows the modularity and flexible nature of a pop-up to be integrated. So every so often, every weeks or months, the brands will change out, but they all use the same fixturizations and aspects to showcase their projects, but they can reconfigure them for their own purposes. So that really is a flavour of us. And I suppose to share with you that everything we do is rooted in strategy. Whether you're an established market leading brand or an ambitious startup, we apply the exact same design principles and thinking to any of our projects, which are grounded in an in-depth understanding of your brand, the project scope, and what you are setting out to achieve and your purpose. And every project we work on in Strap starts with strategy, and for us it takes the guesswork out of it, and it allows us to make informed decisions and free creativity to help your brand bloom. I hope you found what we have shared today interesting, and now I shall hand over to Keelan.
Great, thanks Niamh. That was really good. Take a big breath there now. Really like the Chadwicks example, and that's super work, in fairness, because that was a prime, you know, just a product on a shelf retail concept, and you've totally reimagined it, so fair play. I'd like to introduce Sharon now next. Welcome, Sharon. It's great to have you involved. And
hi, Keelan.
We'll let you share your slides there now. You can bring them up. Brilliant.
Well, listen, what I'm going to do now is take some of what Niamh has shared, some of the really interesting stuff that Niamh has shared, and go right back to some of the reasons of what, why, and how that's so important to the modern retailer. My name is Sharon Lawler. I am a shopper and retail marketing strategist and trainer. And today I want to talk to you about how retailers can attract the shopper in a post-pandemic world. So the first thing to say is that COVID-19 has really altered consumer and shopper behaviours. A recent Nielsen study shows that nearly 7 in 10 consumers globally have changed the way that they now buy categories and brands as a result of the pandemic. And to quote Dame Sharon White of John Lewis, we've seen decades worth of change in the space of 1 year. Shopping habits have literally changed irreversibly. And when you think about it, the pandemic has really accelerated changes in shopping behaviour. How and where shoppers have browsed as people moved from bricks and mortar into online and e-commerce environments. As a result of that, how and where shoppers purchased, and actually what shoppers needed and purchased, has changed over the last 18 months. In fact, when you think about it, the pandemic has forced retailers to become much, much more visual in their selling techniques. And from that, you'll see that actually many brands and retailers became very visually inspiring to audiences, looking to get audiences to trial and talk about their brands as many physical bricks and mortar retail outlets went dark. A lot of activity moved online. And during lockdown, what I would call the emergence of social tribes came together. And what are social tribes? Well, they were basically groups of people who started following influencers who were sharing their stories around things in their lives. So it may have been exercise or beauty, cooking, DIY. But what happened was that tribes started to flock to these people who were sharing stories on social media platforms. And really what happened out of that was that a lot of savvy brands began actively collaborating with influencers. When you look at some of the figures of the following that a lot of these influencers have, you can see why it works to brands' advantage to actively collaborate with these. And not only did people start taking inspiration from brands or from influencers, but they also, consumers started to look for inspiration from retail brands themselves. So I might have been interested in doing something from a DIY perspective. I may have been looking for ideas on recipes, baking, etc. I may have been embarking on, doing something with the room that I haven't managed to do anything with in the last while. And over the course of lockdown, the Instagram followership for many brands grew as a result. And what happened with this is that this started to form behavior patterns. So how people socialized, how people spent their spare time working, what people were prepared to do in terms of purchase online, with home delivery, click and collect, etc. So behavior patterns started to form. And the reality is that now consumers' evolved digital behaviors are really here to stay. In fact, if you look at the projected digital sales projected for the US into 2022, they are now projected to surpass $1 trillion. So there's a real question for us, for retailers and for brands, to understand how do you now attract shoppers in a post-pandemic world? The starting point for me is you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Strategy remains the same. You look at consumers' needs, problems, desires, and as retailers and as brands working with retailers, it's about turning those shopper problems and needs into retail solutions. So it's about solving a problem with retail solutions. It's about making those solutions easy to find and making those solutions easy to shop. In other words, be a clear and simple solutions provider for your target audience. Now, what has changed over the course of the past 18 months is that the number of decision points on the consumer's decision journey has evolved and has widened, I think, significantly over that time. So if you look at it now, the key to really really deliver a point of difference at these decision points, whatever these decision points may be, is to create a set of standout experiences that are going to turn shoppers into buyers. There's three components that I would utilize and look at in terms of those standout experiences. If you want to deliver a standout experience, first of all, it's about looking to deliver inspiration and entertainment for your shoppers. It's about delivering convenience for the shopper, quite often enabled by technology, and it's about delivering a purposeful connection with your consumer and shopper audience. So I'm going to talk you through each of these and give you some examples around this. So the first is provide inspiration and entertainment. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a brand that I think was very, very good at inspiring audiences throughout lockdown. Sweaty Betty is a brand that literally the minute things changed and back in March 2020, they got very active on social media platforms with lots and lots of Instagrammers and influencers. And at a time when we were all thinking about how we could, improve our leisure wear, they came in with lots of activity on social media platforms with ideas on, leggings and leisure wear. But they expanded this out further and making the experience entertaining by driving their audiences online to take what they called the Sweaty Betty leggings quiz. And in effect for this, what they were doing was personalizing what solutions were required for people looking for leisure wear. Are you looking for something because you're looking for running? What brands do you normally purchase? Is it Nike? Is it Gym Plus Coffee? What are you going to be doing? Is it downward dog? Are you running like the wind? What sort of compression levels are you looking for in your ideal leggings? Is it high? Are there particular colors that you're interested in purchasing? And what height are you looking for? So really getting personal around length, full length versus cropped, around the level of sweat that you're going to actually look for when you're looking for your ideal product. And are there any special features that you love to see? And really what they're doing with all of this is personalizing the solutions for each and every shopper. Height, size, any legging hang-ups, and ultimately what they serve out from this is in effect your own personal leggings and the leggings that are going to work best for you. If you sign up, you can get 20% off your next order, and it's really, really easy, it's seamless, and they're serving you out those particular items. But the whole experience as they're doing this is entertaining, it's informative, and it's inspiring. And so what Sweaty Betty are doing here is they're driving you right through to purchase conversion with the use of the promo code, but having given you an inspiring experience along the way. So I would say to businesses, look to see how you can make the shopping occasion part of the entertainment. The pandemic saw retailers really reinventing home dining, and one great collaboration I saw at the time was between Lidl collaborating with the Gastro Gays. These guys were offering master classes on cocktail making throughout, on a Friday or a Saturday night. But very cleverly, they were saying to people, go into Lidl in advance, buy your ingredients that you need, and then participate in the masterclass with us and ultimately share that experience online afterwards. So a real easy way to draw people in. And I think you're going to find that businesses are hosting and going to continue to host themed events going forward, drawing consumers in and giving people more of an experience. I'd say to any retailer, please tell your story. A brand that I think was exceptionally successful at doing this over the lockdown period was Amy Connolly's Sculpted by Amy, where she was constantly telling the story about her brand, about her experience as a makeup artist, and keeping you informed of new product launches and things going on through lots of video activity. Within this, I would say, make sure that you increase your video levels of video content as you tell your story, because it's all about engaging the consumer and the shopper and keeping them interested with that experience. I'd also say look for other ways and different ways to entertain your audiences relevantly. Lovely collaboration here between Aldi and Amy Huberman with the Mommy a Baby brand. And it's thinking outside the box on how you can collaborate and deliver experiences relevant for your brands. I would say to anyone, if you get the opportunity, please make sure that you are utilizing user-generated content. Helen Turkington is a brand that I felt was very, very astute at doing this over the lockdown period, where not only were they sharing their own content, but also sharing content by users of their product and their service. And please, please seek reviews from your customers. A huge change in shopper behavior and in customer behavior was how much more people depended on reviews to actually navigate the decision journey. And therefore, the more that you can seek reviews from customers and ensure that those reviews are good reviews, the more likely the shopper is to gravitate towards you within their online journey. Look to see how you can serve up experiences differently. Know what entertains your audience. Niamh mentioned Scrumdiddly earlier on, and I love this brand because I find it amazing that when I go out to Dún Laoghaire on Saturday, that no matter how many places there are to buy and purchase ice cream, there's always a long line in Scrumdiddly's. Why? Because they know how to entertain the audience. There's color, there's theater, there's personalization, there's choice. It's not simply buying an ice cream, it's buying an experience. And there's lots of brands that have looked to provide experience through anticipation and excitement. Bean and Goose here is a lovely example where if you sign up to their subscription, you'd actually get a one-off bar from their Bean Lab every month in addition to a bar from their usual range. Think about how you can provide theatre and excitement along the path to purchase. It's important to visually inspire audiences online. It's equally important to make sure that you provide real-life theatre for consumers and shoppers. Lovely, simple example here from a little jeweller's just off Grafton Street. And even when the shutters are down, they're providing theatre. Look to see how you can entice shoppers in. I always love the Butler's window display, and it does a great job of enticing me into the store at different seasonal times within the year. Provide entertainment within key zones within the store. Again, I would say to people, look at what those key zones are, what those high footfall zones are, important, and make sure that you're providing entertainment within those. Top two examples are from New York and Milan, which are entry zones within the particular stores, Macy's and the Milan retail area of the train station, but equally zones within other stores. You've got Dunn stores there, the pasta section and Super Value and wine. And it's at this point, I'd say, utilize the opportunity around sensory marketing, trigger impulse purchase. People buy with their senses, so particularly from a visual perspective. So make sure that you're doing whatever you can to actually trigger impulse purchase with your shoppers. And ultimately, don't just trigger purchase, help the shopper conversion. This is an example from Charlotte Tilbury, who offer 10 looks that people can aspire to within their range. But not only do they create the look, they actually give shoppers the opportunity to then bundle each of those looks together, so it's easier for the shopper to actually purchase those thereafter. So if the first thing to do and the first key element and key component of experience and delivering standout experience is around entertainment and inspiration, the second is about making the shopper's experience feel much more convenient. It's about providing solutions to make life easier for your audience. Typical example, Saba here is providing meals for now, but actually also saying, well, why don't you stock up on a freezer filler at the same time? Anticipate the types of shopper needs that you're likely to have. If you've got shoppers who are looking for organic products, make sure it's easy for them to navigate towards the organic section. If you've got people who are shopping for little people and need to know their sizes, facilitate that with things like how tall are you within the wall section there. It's all about making it more convenient for people to find your items. There's a lovely example on the left-hand side here in Morton's in Ranelagh. When people look to shop on wine, a key part of the decision tree is around shopping by country of origin. And they've made it far easier for the shopper to find the country of origin by simply actually having the flags up and very visible within the store. It's about making purchasing for occasions easier. Lovely example here from Kilkenny, where when you go on, if you're looking for gifts for various occasions, whether it's a baby gift, whether it's a new home offering, they have taken the hassle and made it more convenient for the shopper. Look to see how you can use technology to provide convenience. The brand Chupi, lovely brand, and over the course of lockdown, they started to offer complimentary virtual appointments using technology to aid and to make it more convenient to shop within their store. Look to see how you can personalize the shopping experience, because if you personalize it, you will make it more convenient for the shopper. Find personalized ways to connect with the shopper. I always love the fact that Brown Thomas every year on my birthday will contact me and give me triple points, and at that particular time, I'm probably there likely to get some gifts of some money, and therefore I'm looking for ways to spend it, and they're facilitating that and making it more convenient for me. Lovely example here from Carrickdon, a brand I'm very fond of. This week, Micheál Martin came out on Tuesday talking about our mass return to work. Straight away, within a couple of hours, they were serving up a solution that people were going to be happy to see. Here are solutions for back to work. It's the 9-to-5 trousers, the business as usual blazer. And that's really making life convenient for people by giving the solutions they're happy to see. And look to see how you can provide benefits that consumers and shoppers are going to want and desire. You know, who's going to say no to an easy and early access flash sale with VIP 30% off to boot? That's making it much more convenient for shoppers to engage there. Also look at ways for shoppers to personalize their choices. If you think it's going to be important, as example with this from Diddley, this is another example from Ito, who provide meal bundles, but also give you the opportunity to actually personalize your own box in situ. And if you want to make the experience convenient, you've got to make the experience feel seamless. As mentioned before, shoppers can really navigate many digital and physical touch points for one single purchase. We call it omni-channel, but really it's the various points they'll use to navigate on their decision journey. And it's really, really important that you do that and you look for ways to make that user's experience feel really seamless. I'll give you an example. Small little retailer, Nicola Ross in Naas. And I, over the course of time going on Instagram, was seeing stuff from Nicola Ross in my feed, came across this dress, really liked it, didn't have time to do anything at that particular time. At a later point in time, I think it was a Sunday evening, kids were gone to bed and I had a bit more time on my hands. And suddenly I was remarketed with a sponsored ad by Nicola Ross. Before I knew it, with seamlessness, I was able to go from looking at the item, swiping up and actually purchasing. And they made that process for me feel really, really seamless. So look for ways to make the user's experience feel seamless. Nudge your shoppers along their purchase path. You know, encourage shoppers to shop now. Do a call, create calls to action and nudge the shopper on that purchase journey. Look for ways to make purchasing itself easier to complete. I will always say that you're far more likely to get me to make a purchase online if there's an autofill and it's easier for me to complete that purchase. Similarly, in a physical environment, make sure that it's easy for people to actually complete the physical purchase themselves. And pay attention to aftercare. The job is not done when the consumer presses yes. And says yes on purchasing the item. If I go back to Nicola Ross, one of the really nice things that I liked about my experience with that brand was the fact that actually straight away the following day, I received a personal email. Can I help you? It was from Maria. If you can't read this here, it's saying, any questions, anything I can help with, please reach out without hesitation. And literally, I continued to get feedback from them right until the day that they delivered, giving me pretty much the hour that I was going to receive my delivery on. So it's so important to deliver consistency between your channels. You should not offer the shopper a different experience online, whether it be through a laptop or mobile, social media channels, to the experience they get when they actually have to engage with you for customer service or within the bricks and mortar environment. I always say, if you want to offer convenience, remove friction at key decision points. Anticipate barriers to purchase. What are the purchase barriers that your shoppers are likely to come across? Remove physical barriers and friction points. I remember when I first had my first little girl, one of the big things that just absolutely used to put the fear of God in me was how long it would take me to get around the grocery store. And somebody said to me, use a scanner. You don't have to unpack things, repack them again, and you can literally go through far quicker. It makes shopping for the mum much, much easier, or for the dad much, much easier. And that's removing a friction point for a shopper. IKEA masters at it. If you're going into an IKEA store and one of the friction points maybe, is that going to fit in my space? They remove that friction point by giving you a pencil, giving you paper, and ultimately giving you the measuring tape to be able to actually measure up. Remove digital barriers and friction points. If an issue to purchase is, I'm not going to be home next week when it's likely to be delivered, offer your shoppers, the customer, a click and collect service. So remove those friction points. And offer support if it's needed. If the barrier to purchase is somebody's worry or concern over something, give them the opportunity to get support on that. it's really, really important that actually you allow shoppers to navigate on their terms. When I think of Nicola Moss and the dress, I'm actually wearing the dress that I purchased today. I navigated towards that solution because it could be on my terms. It was a Sunday evening when I had a bit of time in my hands. And the reality is that post-pandemic, customers' preference has changed. More and more customers are looking to browse and order ahead on their own time, but ultimately to be able to pick up on location or have something delivered to their home. In fact, it was interesting to see that in 2020, in Q4 of 2020, almost a quarter of all Starbucks transactions were actually on mobile orders. Think about that and how that has become such an established behavior in the States in terms of digital ordering. Expect to see more planned in and convenient shopping going forward as people may book in store visits or click and collect. And post-COVID, I think you're going to continue to see an increase in what we'd call on this side of the water, click and collect, or in the US, they call it BOPUS, buy online, pick up in store. Because what they saw in the US was that there was an 87% increase in BOPUS, buying online, picking in store solutions. But actually, the really key thing here is that more than 6 in 10 people said they preferred to continue using this as a format going forward. Anticipate that there will be more centralized BOPUS amongst retailers. So what do I mean by this? If a retailer doesn't have facilities for large scale fulfillment themselves, then you're going to see more and more retailers actually getting together in collection hubs. And you're starting to see quite a bit of that within shopping environments and shopping centers over in the US. Utilize digital to enhance shopper experience. Now, what is phygital? It's a really interesting concept, and really and expect to hear more of this going forward. It's the concept of using technology to bridge the digital world with the physical world in order to provide unique and interactive experiences for the shopper. I'm going to give you 2 examples where physical and digital support each other. Go on to Smart Buy Glasses website, and if you are home and you don't have time to go into a physical store to buy your glasses, you can go onto this website and literally virtually try on glasses. So by giving them access to your camera, they will measure your face, your size, and look for the glass frames that best suit you. And literally, they will then serve you back those glasses on your frame with your picture on the screen and give you the opportunity to purchase those products online. So that's a really clear example where physical and digital are supporting each other. Equally, in the Champs-Élysées in Paris, in the Nike store, which is one of their hero stores in Paris, this particular store, I'm hoping this will play, allows shoppers to go into the store but have an experience where digital meets physical. So you can go in, customize the design on some of their products and see what that looks like in an augmented reality format. So what you're really seeing here is physical and digital supporting each other again. Now, at no point do I want anyone to think that what I'm saying with all of this is that there is a reduced need for the physical bricks and mortar store. But what is happening and what's happening post-COVID-19 and post-pandemic is that the role of the physical store is adapting and changing to people's altered needs. So the store now plays a role in terms of purchase, where people simply want to go in, purchase an item and leave, but it's equally going to play an increasing role in terms of fulfillment. And as Niamh mentioned earlier on, and as you could see from the Nike example, in terms of delivering experience for consumers and shoppers. So really, if you want to deliver standout experience and deliver experiences that are going to set you apart from the crowd, you've got to look at that role that the physical store is playing in people's lives going forward. But this is actually a good thing, not a bad thing, because it's actually giving retailers the opportunity to both upsell and to create loyalty with their shoppers. In fact, when you look at some of the stats, by getting shoppers in and engaged within your stores, it can give over a 30% increase in revenue. But very interestingly, 85% of us are likely to buy additional items once we've gone into a store environment, even if we've gone in to pick up something that we've purchased already. So when we look at those three components, the first component is about excitement and inspiration. The second component, very much interweaved, is about convenience. And the third component here is about creating purposeful connections with shoppers. Consumers are passionate about stuff. They're passionate about the environment. They're passionate about health and well-being and supporting health and well-being initiatives. And they're passionate about local initiatives, local community, and supporting local businesses. And so again, as Niamh alluded to earlier on, it's really important that retailers create a purposeful connection with their audiences. And by purposeful connection, it's connecting on things that matter to people, things like the planet, people, and values. Shoppers want to support the planet. Shoppers are more aware than ever of health and well-being, and shoppers want to support local businesses, local initiatives, local communities. So it's important that consumers and shoppers will place value on those retailers who actually value people, planet, and communities. And I think it's great when you can see the retailers out there who really actively work hard to value people, planet, and communities within their initiatives. There's another word for this, and I think you're going to increasingly hear people talk about the need to adapt and to develop and deliver retail sustainability. What I'd say in that is, if you're going to drive and to deliver more retail sustainability in your retail environment, be sure that you're authentic in your sustainability efforts. I mentioned the Chupi brand earlier on, and I follow Chupi Sweetman on Instagram, and I thought it was lovely that last year when she came out and she said to her followers, look, we're making moves for all of our packaging for Chupi, the Chupi brand, to be much more sustainable. So we're changing all our packaging, everything around the brand to be much more sustainable, but we've got some packaging left over. And if you're a small business, and I know what it's like when you're starting off, who could do with utilizing this product, send me a note and I will organize to get this sent to you. That's really authentic in terms of sustainability efforts. And I think that people see through non-authenticity and appreciate real authenticity in retail initiatives and retail offerings. So I'd say look to see how you can work with your community and club together with community initiatives. And you can see there's lots of brands who've had very good examples of doing that and working and supporting their local community. Lovely example this month from Woodies, and I think Woodies are great in terms of some of the initiatives that they support on. Over the month of July into August, they were supporting on children's charities, and really here it was about making a difference. But to me, not only did they make a difference, but they created a point of difference for themselves, because last week there were loads of people on social media talking about how they may have been store employees or people who had noticed what was going on within Woodies, and people talking with pride about how much the Woodies staff themselves had actually made and had pulled together and gathered in support of these charities. And that's really creating a point of difference for a retail brand. So I would say communicate your actions, communicate your efforts to shoppers around things like support of the planet, ethically sourced products that you may be selling within your stores. If you've got products that help in terms of people's values towards health, wellness, well-being, and support of local, make sure that you're communicating your actions and efforts to those shoppers. Retail sustainability starts with retailer and supplier initiatives. Max Benjamin is a lovely, lovely example here as a supplier and as a brand that actually actions on their sustainability. If you go onto their website, they'll talk you through their sustainability story and the initiatives that they're doing, but they take it right through to the product on the shelf with the candle refill now that you can actually purchase refill for candles, for diffusers, etc. within their stores. Expect to see lots more in the way of shopper initiatives and retailer initiatives around sustainability. For anyone who hasn't seen this, in the UK, Co-op have launched a campaign and initiative called Clean It, Scrunch It, Co-op It. Really, really simple. And what they're saying to you is, doesn't matter where you shop, we'll still recycle your soft plastics. As long as you can clean it and scrunch it, we'll co-op it and bring your products to our stores, guiding the shopper to their stores in the process, but bring your products to our stores and we'll actually recycle it for you. And that's a clear example of initiatives that retailers are starting to use and utilize now. Arnott's, another example, have just launched the Circular Room, where both online and in-store you can actually now purchase pre-loved designer bags from within Arnott's. So remember, lots and lots going on there, whistle-stop tour, but at the very sort of to summarize on it all, the landscape has changed. Post-pandemic, consumer and shopper behaviors have changed, and the landscape has changed to reflect this. Consumers are now navigating omni-channel decision points. So really, really important to ensure that you're actually touching the consumer and reaching the consumer at the different decision points that consumers are likely to go through to navigate. And it's really, really important that you that consumers are seeking standout experiences. Niamh talked about it earlier on in some of her examples. I've shown some examples of how people are gravitating towards those standout experiences. But if you want to do that, think of 3 key components. You've got to inspire and entertain your audience. You've got to make shopping convenient, make it seamless and easy. So convenience is key. And ultimately, you've got to create purposeful connections with your shoppers. Thank you.
That's super, Sharon. Great. Thanks for that presentation. So much to take in there, but full of ideas in fairness, which is great. So really appreciate that. And I think that's it, guys. I think we will park it there. Thanks for everyone joining. Great to see so many new attendees' faces come on stream as well today. And we'll get the link out to everyone tomorrow. And any questions, feel free to send them in and we'll answer them. But many thanks, Sharon. Many thanks, Niamh, as well there in the background. Thanks for the great presentations. And we'll talk to you all again.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me, Keelan. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.